Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. It's time for episode 4 of Jokes on Me, season 3, round 1. I feel like you guys are usually up to pace on what's happening, what season, what round, what we're doing here. I mostly say that so that when I go to insert clips, I know which project to enter it into. But it's time for that, and so I did already do my card flips. I'm gonna go ahead and show you those, and then I'll let you know what I'm going to be reading. All right, welcome to my kitchen. The countertop is a little, like, you can see the glare of the pictures on my walls and stuff, but it is time for Jokes on Me, round 1, episode 4. Today's game piece of choice is this little Play-Doh container, and we left off up here on Owned, and we are trying to make our way back to Wrapped down here, so we're getting somewhat close. We'll see if we can finish it off with 3 card flips. Here I go. A 4, so I actually moved backward 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is Mood Read. And then a 6, so I split it 3 and 3. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, Friend Fave, and then 1, 2, 3, Wrapped. And then one more card flip, a Queen. So I get to buy a book. Okay, so first I got Mood Read, which is an amazing prompt now that I'm not doing like a my choice within these episodes. I'm doing the stats picks instead, so I'm not like completely choosing my picks as much. So a Mood Read lets me pick whatever I want to read, and what I wanted to read was my in-person book club, true crime book club, is reading American Predator by Maureen Callahan for the month of February, and so I'm gonna choose that as my mood read. This is a true crime book about the serial killer Israel Keyes, and I'm looking forward to reading it. It was a book club I wanted to prioritize. And then for the Friend Fave prompt, I'm actually working in a book that I already read. Technically I DNF'd it, and this was the very first book that I read this year. Sorry Adriana, but this was Adriana's favorite book. This was for, I was behind, so this was a previous year's challenge, and I attempted to read Sandstorm by James Rollins. James Rollins is Adriana's like favorite author, and so I've wanted to try them, and this was my attempt. I just couldn't get into it. It was too much action for me, so it was definitely a me problem. I think people who in general like the genre that his books are would enjoy it. I just literally don't comprehend action that well, so I chose to DNF it rather than push through it and give it a low rating, because I did already read another book from her list for that year. I had read Eve, which is a nonfiction book. I can't think who wrote that. I want to say like Kat Bohannon, but that could be incorrect. So I had already technically read a friend's favorite from her list, so I was okay with saying, you know what, I don't have to do it this time. And then I got Wrapped, and I did unwrap a book. It's an interesting one. Here's the clip of that. Okay, it's time to unwrap another book. I've only unwrapped one so far, so this is the second. For now, I'm random number generating, but once the numbers start to like dwindle and I'm generating numbers I've already pulled, I'll probably put like little slips of paper in a cup and draw that way, but hopefully I don't get the same number I already got once. So I'm so excited to do this. I'm gonna generate. All right, number 23. Oh no, I know what these are. So the ones that are part of a series are like, I have like 23A, 23B, 23C. So this is gonna be 23A. And I know what this is gonna be. It's good to get me to like go, like I need to read through this series, so to start it this early in the year is probably good, but, and the first one's actually a reread. All right. It's time for me to finally read through the whole series. A Court of Thorns and Roses is a reread. I've read this like 2 or 3 times already. I know I enjoyed this book. I've read the second book as well, but the rest of them I've never read. So I need to do this. I'm fine with this actually. Like, I need to get through the series. And so I am going to be rereading A Court of Thorns and Roses. I do plan on listening to this on audiobook, and it will be my first audiobook of the year. So it is what it is. I really just need to read it to continue on in the series. I've only ever read the first 2. I think this is the only one I'll probably do on audiobook, and then as I move on, I plan to read them with my eyes. I consume fantasy better that way, but I've read this first one like at least 3 times already, but I do like to have a refresh before I continue on in a series. And then lastly, I need to do a stats pick, and for stats, the stat that I'm going to be using here is book club. And I'm also working in a book that I already read, and that is Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. And we read this for the Shelf This Book Club in December technically, but we did the live show in early January. So it was one of those early January books that I read before starting Jokes this season. And I gave it 2.5 stars. I think it's something that it is like a satire, humor, horror, and it was fun, like a seasonal thing. It's been so long since I read it now that it's not really sticking in my brain, but I do think it was a fun pick. Again, a lot of people read it and had differing opinions, which I always think is fun to discuss in a book club. So it was a good fun time. I will definitely have the Shelf This Book Club linked down below. It is the book club that I always say I organize it, but we have rotating hosts who pick the books. So it's a good fun time. And yeah, that was picked by Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life. But I also need to haul books. And yes, I said multiple. I realized after I posted episode 3 that I forgot to haul a book in that episode, but I have bought a couple things. So I'm showing you 2 for episode 3 and then the one here for episode 4. So firstly, I bought Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This is something that I feel like every time I'm supposed to haul a book and I'm like discussing it with everyone, I'm always like, I want to own these, but I feel like I need to be buying book club books that are hard for me to get access to, or just like other things. I'm also trying to read new releases, and this is like a couple years old. So I did it. I bought this when I took a trip with my mom and my husband's mom and my husband's sister. We did like a little girls trip, and so I like to buy books when I'm on a trip, and so I bought this one. Finally, it felt like a treat. I was on a girls trip. I finally went and bought these, hoping to love these. But the book that I technically hauled that would be for this episode is Northwoods by Daniel Mason, and this is the Shelf This Book Club book for the month of March, I believe. This one I mostly bought due to not having easy access to it through libraries. I'm in like a weird, I don't have a library card right now. I have my library card, but my library is terrible, and the town that my sister and my dad live in is like a great library card, so I've been using my sister's, but it expired and she's currently moving, so I can't bug her to get me a new one. And so I asked my dad if he would get me a new one, and he just hasn't yet. So I have like very limited library access, so I did go buy this. I don't know that this is going to be something that I love, so I'm a little bit nervous that I bought it, but it's fine. I can buy it and get rid of it. But the reason I don't know if I'm going to love this is because I do think it's a pretty literary book, and Ruby already warned me that this probably has a writing style that I'm not going to love. But it's book club, and it'll be fun to discuss regardless. So that's what I've got going on. Hopefully I'll come back here and check in after I've read a couple things and not just all of the things, but I'll do my best. I'm ready to talk about American Predator by Maureen Callahan. This one I ended up giving 4 stars. I thought it was a really good true crime book, and I enjoyed that we're introduced to this serial killer that could have, and like confirmed did kill multiple people, but could have killed like 100 people, hundreds of people. If you don't know anything about Israel Keyes, there's a lot of suspicion that he committed a lot more crimes than like were found out before he died. But this book starts by focusing on a specific crime that he committed, and essentially the crime that made him get caught. But then we also go back because he did do a little bit of confessing, very much under his control, like throughout after he was caught. Like he gave what he needed to give, I feel like, to be notorious, but definitely didn't give all the information. The like interview parts were very ominous because you could tell that he just was like a control freak. He wanted to be in control, but he also like wanted to brag a little bit, and it was just interesting to see that side. I do think the story was told well. I think that it really painted the picture of who Israel Keyes was as a criminal, and yeah, it's just kind of scary to think that people like this exist. And the discussion at my book club was really good. There's actually like a few new people who I haven't seen show up to True Crime Book Club before that came, so that's always a good fun time to see new people coming to the bookstore. And so now I think all I have left to do is finish the audiobook of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I may be able to do that at work today. It is like the morning time during the week, so maybe I'll be able to finish that today and let you know my final thoughts there. Like I said, I've read that book multiple times, so I know about how I'm gonna feel about it, but I'll save that until I actually finish. Okay, I did just finish my reread of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I do own 2 copies of this. Fun fact, I went to a signing when this book was released, so all of the Throne of Glass books that came before this and then this are all signed and personalized to me. I know these like can be worth some money, the first edition A Court of Thorns and Roses in these covers, but it actually says like to Bailey, so I think that the resale may be down because of that. I'm sure somebody would still desire it, but I desire it. I love having those. With that being said, this one has never been my favorite. I saw on Goodreads I have it rated as a 3. I would say that in my mind, this is a 3.5. I do think for anybody else who has read the series past this first book, it is kind of hard to think of this standing alone, knowing what's to come in future books. Like, why do certain things exist if we're gonna go this direction? But I also get that like things changing so much is also a desirable thing. Like, there is so much change in this series. I say, as you guys already know, I've only read the first 2 books, but I'm done with that, so that's 3.5 stars. I'm glad to be done with this episode. I think I really need the forward momentum. Reading this one specifically really felt like I'm starting to get to some priorities for this year, mostly because that's a big series. I knew that if I'm gonna read all the ones that I own, I needed to get started earlier on in the year, like now. And it was a wrapped book, so I just need to start getting to all those things. I have already done my card flips for the next episode, and that's a pretty chunky episode, and I think I'm gonna be making some really good progress in that one too. So I hope you'll follow along and wait for that episode. But thank you so much for spending some time with me recently reading these books, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.